Hi, I'm Shelly Malone. I'm a nutritionist that specializes in calming the inflammation that lies beneath most chronic disease. Today I want to talk to you about putting together an action plan, a plan that will work for your individual needs and a plan that you can stick to. And at the end of this video, I will share a free tool that's going to help you put all these concepts together easily. Before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about why it can be so difficult for us to stick to goals that we set for ourselves. What is it that trips us up? There's certainly no shortage of information telling us what to do, and I would assume that with goals, especially as they pertain to our health, are set with the best intentions. So what is the problem? In my experience, I see there are three main issues that people run into. Number one, not being really honest with yourself about how ready you are to make changes. What are the real reasons you're making the changes in the first place? And how affected are you by those reasons? Are you either frustrated enough by the current situation or inspired enough by what the situation could be if you did make the changes and started feeling better? I call this your why, and if you don't know it or if it's not strong enough, you're probably not ready to make major changes in your diet or lifestyle. Number two, not understanding the bigger vision of how inflammation and diet contribute to chronic disease. There is so much information coming at us all day from the news or social media that it's really easy to start operating off isolated sound bites. Take a probiotic or start using coconut oil. You should avoid gluten. Wait, no, don't avoid gluten. That's all hype. It's too much information. It's confusing and overwhelming. Number three, not being specific enough about what you're actually going to do. I hear a lot of people say things like, I need to get my health on track, or I'm going to clean up my diet, or as my husband likes to say, I'm going to tighten things up next week. And I always have to call them out on it and say, really? What are you going to do exactly? What does that even mean? We don't break down all the specific tasks that are involved in making significant changes, even down to the boring, more administrative minutia, like researching what you're going to eat instead of the inflammatory foods you're taking out, writing a shopping list, planning your meals, planning for social events. I know it's a lot sexier to make a big dramatic move. We all want that instant gratification, but when you're trying to make lasting changes, it often doesn't work that way. Your brain actually releases a happy motivational hormone called dopamine every time you reach a goal, regardless of how small it is. That's why it feels so good to check off those boxes off a to-do list. And conversely, every time you fail to reach a goal, your brain slows the release of dopamine. So it makes sense to take things in very small, actionable steps, even if it's not as exciting. I'm not saying it can't be done to do big, dramatic moves and make big, sweeping changes all at once, or that it shouldn't be in the case of acute, severe symptoms. But just know that if you go that route, you have to have a very strong conviction on why you're doing it. That was my story. For those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with RA in 2008, and I had debilitating pain and fatigue and was not able to care for my newborn daughter. So I went big and I eliminated gluten and dairy and corn and soy to do an elimination diet and figure out what it was that was causing me the pain and what I was sensitive to. But I will tell you, I did not take the small steps involved to figure out what I was going to eat instead of those foods. So while it was effective and it worked, I was starving and I was bitter because there was nothing for me to eat. Luckily, I stuck with it because within about a week, my symptoms drastically improved and I eventually learned a whole new way of eating that I'm completely satisfied with now. So how do you put together a plan that's going to work for you with your individual lifestyle and based on your individual readiness to make changes? Here are some tips. Number one, ask yourself, how would your life be different if you didn't have the pain, fatigue, skin issues, digestive issues, whatever it may be? Take some time to really think about it, write it down, and then read it every morning and every night. It should light you up. And if it doesn't, if your answers are more along the lines of, I know I should eat better to be healthy, just be honest with yourself and know you're not at a point to make big sweeping changes. It's okay, you'll just need to focus on really small goals and work on things gradually. Number two, get specific about what you're going to do and break it down into small, actionable steps. Even if you're not super fired up, you can focus on little changes or tackle big changes but break them into smaller steps. For example, Say you wanted to give up gluten or try an elimination diet because you know that food sensitivities play a big role in inflammation, or at least you do now if you didn't know before. Your first step is not go gluten-free or do an elimination diet. Your first step is figure out what has gluten in it, or soy or corn or whatever it is that you're looking to take out. Your second step is to find the replacements that you're going to eat instead of those foods. And once you have all of these basic foundational steps taken care of in your meals plan, then you go gluten-free or start the elimination diet. Number 3, and probably most importantly, understand the bigger vision. Educate yourself on the relationship between diet, inflammation, and chronic disease. Find a qualified practitioner you trust and either see them individually or follow their work, blogs, books, etc. I have a blog that talks a lot about the interrelationship between inflammation, genetic predisposition, gut health, food sensitivities, and other diet principles, and I have more projects coming. But there's no shortage of information out there. To help you put this all together, I've created a checklist with over 30 items that you can choose from to easily integrate these principles into your daily life and start you on your path to calming the symptoms of inflammation. This is not meant to be an intimidating list. Quite the opposite, it should be empowering. I'm handing you over 30 little wins you could go after that all work together to address the underlying causes of inflammation, and they all fit into that bigger vision. If you're really motivated, you can blow through many of these quickly, and you probably are already doing some of them. If you're a little iffy on motivation, go after the low-hanging fruit. What could you implement easily? Build on that and use the momentum and the dopamine release to consider other changes you can make that you might have previously been really resistant to. Because keep in mind, the point of all this is not to be the one who can implement the most dramatic changes in the first 2 weeks or first 2 months and then just get bitter and frustrated and return to your unhealthy ways. The point is to learn to integrate these principles long term and rid yourself of symptoms so you can get back to enjoying the activities and your life that you love. And that is what I wish for you. So please go to my website, shellymalone.com/action, and sign up for your free anti-inflammatory action plan. And if you think this information will help someone you care about, please share this video and my website.